finishing off some of the bonus content in the game. We have gone through all of the Star Wars movies in this game. And now we're going to do the bonus room missions, which you unlock by acquiring certain numbers of gold bricks. Pod race, original Queen Amidala entered Jedi protectors of fled Naboo, heading from Coruscant. They plan to inform the Galactic Senate of the Trade Federation invasions. However, the Royal Starship Superdrive is damaged in the escape. They've been forced to land on the remote planet of Tatooine for repairs. So, in our Phantom Menace episode, we played a pod race mission. But it is not the original pod race mission as seen in the first LEGO Star Wars game. They modified it for the Complete Saga because it was kind of difficult, and so I think they just decided that it was too hard for a kids game. But this mission is actually not too bad in my opinion. It is hard, and it was hard when I was a little kid playing it, but there's a different mission that we will play soon after this, which is way more difficult, and it caused me incredible pain as a little boy playing through the first LEGO Star Wars game. So, we will get to that soon enough, but the major difference between this original pod race mission and the revamped one is that in this one you have to complete every segment within a certain time. Basically, there is another pod racer that you have to defeat in every leg of the race. And if you don't defeat them, then you have to reload your checkpoint. So here you can see this countdown, and I have to cross the finish line of this section before that countdown ends. So it can be tricky, especially if you're a kid, but I don't think it's too terrible, mainly because you only have to focus on these very small segments at a time. You don't have to deal with, long stretches of race that you have to replay if you fail. Also, the washing machine on the floor above me is whirring, so hopefully that will end soon. My upstairs neighbors were stomping around for a while, and it pushed back my recording time, but then they turned on their washing machine, which is no fun. But anyway, I was also thinking for this little bonus segment today, we could do maybe some very light triggers. I normally don't do triggers besides just my whispering and speaking, saying Lego Star Wars The Complete Collection instead of the Complete Saga. That's just a mistake I've been making. Also, it's hard to do and do trigger sounds while also whispering because my mics are too close together, so I have this one little slot to fit into, and I can either put my face there to whisper or my hands there to make hand noises. So if I want to do more triggers, I'll need to change up my recording setup a little bit here. But we are almost done with the pod race here. We are just chasing down Sebulba. There we go, little Anakin Skywalker has won the credits. They can buy their new hyperdrive and take off. And of course, Anakin comes with them to be trained as a Jedi. So, back in the Mos Eisley Cantina, we have our next mission. Which we can build the gold brick door here. Anakin's flight. I'm not sure the details of this one, the background of it. I imagine it was probably a cut mission for the first game. Maybe they were working on it and then decided that it didn't, fit in the amount of missions that they had planned. But, you play as Anakin as he hops in his Naboo starfighter and flies off into the droid control ship to shut down the droid army. So, stage one is you have to fly around and use the proton torpedoes. Is that what these purple missiles are supposed to represent? And there's a lot of, ships and turrets on the droid control ship that you have to watch out for. And I have, so far missed actually collecting the torpedoes, so I have to go find where those are dispensed from. Where do you get them? Oh, right here, okay. There's just the one spot for them. So I get this guy there, and then we can turn around and collect another torpedo, and then go get the last three. It's been really fun going through the Complete Saga again. Game which I have not played since I was much younger. And just sort of seeing all these things that I had vague memories of images in my mind and stuff. Some of these bonus levels, like the Lego town or whatever it's called, where you have to collect a certain number of studs. I had these memories of these kind of traditional Lego sets in one of these games, but couldn't remember what it was, and turns out it's in this bonus room. Fortunately, we don't have to worry about getting true Jedi on these levels, which is of course the real challenge with something like the pod race. So now that we're in the ship, you just sort of make your way through these various hangars and have to open up doors either by using torpedoes or shooting these red buttons on the walls. So there we go, and I think you get torpedoes by destroying ships. So we'll just collect that, and there we go, we are through into the next hangar. Just got to keep destroying the turrets and stuff. Alright, so here we are at the core of the ship. Anakin, even as a child, this whiz of a pilot. This part is a little annoying, because it just starts to go very slow. So once you destroy those, you have to shoot those little blue orbs inside, but every time it then pops out these shields that you have to just fly safely around without bumping into the shields and exploding. So it's just sort of a hassle. I don't think it was a bad decision to cut this level from the first game, if that is indeed what happened, because I don't think it's a very good level. But also, I think I've said before, I'm not really the biggest fan of the vehicle levels in the Lego games. They're just kind of floaty and hard to control, and can be kind of punishing, unforgiving because of reloading checkpoints, although they made those levels easier in this one. But we will see the pain of what they can be very soon after this mission. There's the one on Geonosis Republic. It's like Gunship Battle or something, I forget the name exactly, but so one more spin of these shields, and hopefully that will be the end. There we go. Alright, Anakin flies out. That's that. Yeah, the trope of the kind of like brilliant wonder kid. It's not my favorite. I know that it's in this context that it's supposed to be indicative of how powerful with the Force he is. But it's still a little like, okay, Anakin shows up, he's 8 years old or whatever, and he's just solving all of these huge problems. But I know it's the point. I mean, he assigned C-3PO at that age and stuff, so it's Gunship cavalry. Here we go. This is the horrible mission. When we played through Attack of the Clones in my earlier episode of LEGO Star Wars, the Complete Saga, we played the revamped version of this mission, and I believe I talked about how I remembered having such a hard time with this mission as a kid, but I was kind of confused about it because I was like, well, the mission was really easy playing through it now. And what I didn't realize at the time is that, of course, it was actually a different mission than the one that I remembered playing as a kid. Because as a kid I was playing, you know, this version from the original game. And this version is really tough. It's not impossible. I had, you know, it is a lot easier now as an adult, but even now, I did struggle with this for a few minutes trying to beat this segment where you have to reach the big ship, so you can watch me suffer here for a while as I just try to get through this segment. I remember this also being extremely difficult in multiplayer because of course you now have two people to worry about, and if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure that if one person died, then it sent you both back to the checkpoint. So this was probably a level where it was like playing it with my friend, and then I was like, dude, unplug your controller for a minute, you know, drop out. This will be a lot easier if it's just me, and then I probably, you know, was stuck on it for 45 minutes or something. But yeah, in the Attack of the Clones episode, I talked about how hard this mission was as a kid, and then I was like, oh, it's actually not that bad now. But I didn't realize that they were just protecting me from the horrors. So, yeah, what makes this kind of tricky, very much so, is, I think, the fixed camera movement. So you have the camera kind of going forward at this predetermined pace. And you cannot, you know, move out of the confines of the camera. But then they have all of these things that can hurt you, and so you're trying to navigate them. But also if you know, kind of get stuck by the camera, it might drag you into things that'll kill you. So it's pretty tricky, but you can see I'm also, you know, I probably could have learned quicker here. So it's kind of funny that this has been quite a series now at this point of going through LEGO Star Wars, the complete collection. And now it is drawing very close to an end. Just have this one more episode. I was thinking of doing a compilation of all of the movies. I won't include the bonus stuff, but I had to buy a hard hard drive, an external hard drive, because my computer is, too full of stuff, and that compilation would be like, I don't know, 200 gigabytes or something. So I just need to have, and I need to have all the raw footage. So I think I have to put all of that stuff on an external hard drive and render it to that hard drive directly and upload it from there as well, because my computer is not, it is capped out. We are overflowing the cup in terms of data that is filling up the hard drive. So, but I think it'll be fun to have, a 7-hour-long video or whatever, compilation of maybe a little bit of beard scratching. I had an actual itch, and then I was like, wait a minute. Beard scratching, beard scratching. Do you like beards? Do you grow a beard? I sometimes, I switch off a lot with my facial hair. Sometimes I'm clean shaven, sometimes I got a full beard, sometimes I just do a mustache. It's funny, I think about my dad, who for my entire life, even old photos of him from before I was born, he is rocking the exact same facial hair style. And it's just funny to me. It's like, okay, I guess you found what you liked and you just stuck with it. But anyway, that was the end of that mission. We now have a very short little bonus one here. It is, it's hardly a level. It's extremely short, but it is Darth Vader boarding the Tantive 4, which it's pronounced like Tantive, right? Technically, it's the Tantive 4 to me. But yeah, it's funny to think about, my dad just had the same facial hair for decades and decades and decades. Never ever changed it. And then, me change it out every couple months. You get bored of it, I guess. But I don't know, maybe I should desire that kind of peace. You cannot find pleasure in worldly things. Maybe I will finally attain permanent happiness if I just change my facial hair one more time, right? The seeking, it's the seeking. He doesn't know that the endless seeking will never truly bring peace. It is only by releasing his need for peace that he can truly find it. Or his belief that just by changing something, you will find peace. That's me, the fool. The fool who has not walked the noble eightfold path yet. I'm still trapped in the cycle of samsara, spinning around on that thing like a Ferris wheel. So, you can see an incredibly short level. We just, it ends with us getting that little Princess Leia shot. And back to the cantina. Alright, are we sick of the beard scratching? Are we sick of the beard scratching? We'll move on. We'll move on from the beard scratching as we start in Lego City. Lego City. In an infinite universe, all things are possible. The epic struggle of the Skywalker family sends turmoil throughout the Force. And in another galaxy, far, far away, though, echoes of this drama live on, and a new world awakens. Lego City. So, in this mission, you just go around Lego City and you have to collect every stud on the map. So, basically what that means is you just kind of have to wander around and solve all these little, I don't know, puzzles is a strong word. You just need to find where all the studs are hidden, so that means you have to use the Force on certain things, or you have to destroy stuff, or you have to kill Lego people. You just kind of have to find where all of the studs are hidden. And there's no room for error. You have to find, there's an exact amount. I think each mission has 1,000,000 studs. And you have to find exactly 1,000,000, and there's only 1,000,000 to be found on the map, so. Although I might be misremember, I don't know exactly, but I think there's like a way to destroy the gonk droids if you have that special ability turned on from the power bricks, and those gonks might give you more studs, so there might be a bit of wiggle room there, I'm not sure. But yeah, basically this is just a I don't know, a scavenger hunt almost, going around and solving all these tiny little environmental puzzles, finding where all the studs are hidden. And I remember, this was one that when I started this level I was like, oh, I've been remembering, I've had images of this level in my mind for many years, and I couldn't remember exactly where it came from or what it was. So, this was a fun thing to discover put the pieces together in my mind. We have a little baby Boba Fett here. This thing didn't give any studs as far as I recall, yeah. Which is funny that they gave us Boba Fett in free play, because I don't think that there's any small character portals, those little hatches. What's kind of fun about this to me, the conceit of this level, having, this, like, typical Lego City set that you can play as a bonus level, is it just reminds me of being a kid playing with Lego and, mixing sets, right? A lot of our Lego sets, I'm trying to remember, we had a lot of Star Wars stuff, we had a lot of Star Wars Lego. We definitely, there wasn't Harry Potter, we were a little too early for like Harry Potter Lego. They might have started doing some sets, but I think we were kind of too old by the time those sets started coming out. Not too old to like play with Lego per se, but I don't know, too old to be like asking for Harry Potter Lego sets. But yeah, we had a lot of sort of traditional Lego pieces as well, and so I would have stuff to make like a typical Lego city, but then you would also have all of the Lego Star Wars pieces. So, Darth Vader would be standing on the firehouse or whatever. Which is, it's a fun thing about being a kid, right? That imagination. Just that, there's something very pure to me about the mixing of toys, right? As a kid, you have all of these toys, and like, none of them are cohesive, none of them stick together. You've got Lego, and you've got, plastic dinosaurs, and you've got building blocks, and you've got this and that. And as an adult, you would sort of treat those things separately. I mean, obviously, as an adult, you're not really playing with building blocks, but put that aspect aside, as an adult, the idea of buckets, you put things into buckets, sort of categorical buckets, and things from different buckets are not supposed to interact. And that's a strong statement, obviously. People mix and match certain things, but I just feel there's a very childlike, it's such a strong reflection of that childlike mentality when kids are playing with, they're making a house and it's got a Barbie doll in it, and they're playing with, the Barbie doll also has like some Lego dudes as part of the family or something, and I remember just doing that a lot as a kid, combining toys in that way. And yeah, I guess that's kind of Toy Story, right? The movie, all those different toys hanging out together. The Army Man and the Slinky Dog and the Mr. Potato Head and of course Buzz and stuff. And that combination of different categories of toys, those categories don't really exist in a child's mind. It's yeah, I don't have a thought about it per se, but just beyond it's just a very sweet thing to me. Something I like about kids, that innocence of being a child, and how those sorts of things are not barriers to a kid. Then as we get older, those barriers start to form in our minds and solidify, and eventually it's like, well, no, you can't put the Lego with the plastic dinosaur. Those are different kinds of toys. myself, but a bunch of my friends do. And so I've, started spending more time with these toddler-aged kids as I'm hanging out with my friends. And it's really sweet, there's something nice about having childlike presence in your life. Not childlike, literally, the presence of a child. Even if you're not a parent. I've always felt that we have, and I'm speaking from my own culture, Western, this American culture that I grew up in. The generations are so siloed now, and I've always liked the idea of living in a multi-generational household, but people move, they live far away from their parents, and then kids grow up and they move to go to college somewhere else, and obviously there's always exceptions to this stuff, and it's not a universal truth, but I think it would be so valuable, and I didn't live in a multi-generational household. Both of my parents moved across the country from where they grew up, and so I saw my extended family very rarely, which is something that, in retrospect, I do kind of miss. I think it would have been nice to have, or not miss, but yearn for, I guess. It would have been wonderful to have closer connections to my extended family. I had an uncle who ended up moving to where my parents moved, and so he and his wife and their children, we would do holidays with them, we would do Thanksgiving with them and stuff, and that was wonderful to at least have a little bit of that extended family connection, and I'm close with those cousins. But I have, especially as I've gotten a little older and, my grandparents have died and stuff, I've thought more and more about, I really wish that we had had more time together. And that those family relationships, those extended family relationships are so wonderful. And, of course, they can always be bad too, right? There's different experiences and different circumstances. And I know that this vision of an extended family all getting together for Thanksgiving, that's a very idyllic notion, and I know that for people who have had that, you often hear stories about, how it can be quite unpleasant. But there's always, things can always go bad, right? But I do, I yearn for that extended family connection. And I think it would have been really cool to, have my grandparents living in the same house that I was a child in. And that whole support network of an extended family, and it connects the generations, I think it's good for old people to talk to young people, to see what they're going through, to see how the world is changing. Because obviously there's sort of a thing that can happen where old people get disconnected from the world, how it's changing. They get kind of frightened and confused by it, which is understandable in a lot of ways. But maybe if they had, teenage grandchildren who were with them all the time, it would help that process. And then similarly, young people can be so walled off from what it's like to be elderly, and to, just be walled off from the elderly in general, that to have grandparents living with you and to interact with them and talk with them seems like a really valuable experience. So, anyway, I don't know why I went off on that whole tangent, I guess, because I was talking about the kids that I know, and I think I feel lucky to have kids in my life, despite me not having had the chance to become a parent yet, just because I have come to believe that there's value in, multi-generational mingling, I guess. Which I think, to the extent that the generations are isolated from each other, that seems to me to be a very modern thing. But, yeah, I think that's that tangent. We'll get back to the topic here. Enough of that tangent. Let's not have any more trivial ruminations about such unimportant things as family dynamics and the plight of the elderly. Let's get back to the real important stuff. Let's get back to Lego City. So, I'm not sure what the last studs that I'm missing are hidden. This kind of happens in the other one too, where I just get stuck at the end. There's an element of tedium, I guess, at the end of these where you end up, where are these last few studs hidden? And I know that in the next one I get super stuck on it because there's like a couple of floodlights that you have to destroy, but they only turned on at a certain point, I think, and so I just never, I didn't get them till super late, or to the very end, actually. I think they were the last thing that I found. Firehouse seems cleared out. Anything over here? Anything over here? Oh yeah, here the flowers. You have to walk around and raise all of the flowers. Raise all the flowers. Once you get them all, I think this was the last thing that I needed. I don't know. But anyway, now that I have finished off the Complete Saga, let me know what other Lego games you'd like to see. I've had a lot of Lego games as suggestions, but I'm always open to more, and I do really enjoy checking out the Lego games, especially the ones that I have played before, but also the ones that I haven't, have been really fun to see. Like Lego Pirates of the Caribbean, which all studs collected, nice. Lego Pirates of the Caribbean, for instance, I'd never played that one, and it was really fun to kind of see what that was about. I remember my aunt, who I spoke about earlier, my aunt and uncle gifted me a video game because they knew that I liked video games, and they just picked up this Pirates of the Caribbean game, I think it was at World End. No, wait. Dead Man's Chest, maybe. I think it was one of the movies. It was for the Xbox 360, and it was like a third-person sort of action game, and it had an emphasis on like the duels. This one is called Newtown. Newtown. So, yeah, I remember enjoying that Pirates game. That was the only Pirates of the Caribbean game that I played. I'm trying to remember if that's true. I'm pretty sure it is. But yeah, there was a focus on the duels, and I remember stuff like fighting on like masts and stuff. They have those sort of high drama pirate duels like they had in the movies. It must have been Dead Man's Chest, because I think I remember fighting on like at the big whirlpool segment. And that's Dead Man's Chest, right? At World's End is the third one, because Dead Man's Chest, he dies. And then at World's End is going to save him. Anyway. Near this little basketball court. And that proves to be tricky later on, as those floodlights are where some of my last studs end up being hidden, and I don't figure it out for quite a while. So, my apologies for wandering around like a fool, what a fool believes. But yeah, how have you been? How's your holiday season been? I had a very relaxing one. I was able to, take some time off. I got a lot of videos prepared early. I was trying to kind of crank out some videos in like October and November, so that I could chill out a little bit during the holidays and work at a more leisurely pace. So I did like a video or two, but nothing near my normal schedule. So I hope that you had a very relaxing season and are ready to get back into the swing of things in the new year. I'll be honest though, the new year has always been a hard time for me. I don't know, there's something so relaxing about the holidays, and then the new year comes around, and the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas, and whatever holidays you celebrate, those are what, we celebrated growing up, what I did. They are so cheery and happy and relaxing, and you're chilling out. Hopefully, obviously there's always people that have to work and so on, but for me, that's always been a very relaxing time. And then, it's a snowy, but it's not as brutal usually as what comes after, and I associate it more with the, like, comforting cold. You know, Christmas is like, yeah, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. And so the cold is, yeah, it's kind of unpleasant to be cold, but it plays into that very comforting structure of the holidays. After the holidays are done, after Christmas is done, it's like, oh no, there's nothing to look forward to now. You know, now you just have the dead, brutal, bone-chilling cold of January and February. So, as much as I love the holidays, as soon as Christmas is over, there's always this weird gear shift for me, and I don't think that's uncommon. I think that probably happens to a lot of people. It's this really unpleasant gear shift where you're so cozy and happy and relaxed, and then crunch, creak, crunch. You have to clean off the rust and get back into the swing of your sorry, this was so depressing, but I was gonna say, you know, the swing of your drab, dreary, dull life. And I don't really consider my life dreary or dull, but sometimes after Christmas, when you're going into the new year, sometimes it feels a little like your life is dreary and dull, or mine is, because you just don't want to go back. But you know, then you get over it. You get through those January scaries, and the mood improves. And then once you get over those last couple months, and then spring starts to come, and life is great at that point again. You know, you start to have hope for the future. I don't know, maybe I just have that seasonal affective disorder or whatever, right? When you get sad when it's winter. But that's not really true because, again, I don't get sad when the holidays are coming on, when winter is starting. And I do have a friend who has that, and he always gets depressed way earlier, so I think I'm sure it's a very normal thing. You have the holidays, and then you have to go back to regular life, and it feels a little sad by comparison. But we get through it. We're strong people, right? We can handle a little ennui. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the new year. There's some exciting things that I have kind of planned for in the future, in the near future this year. Hopefully, I'm hoping that they all, or at least some of them, work out. But we'll see. So, you know, always look on the bright side. Be optimistic. Always find things to be grateful for. It's very helpful for me. I went through the most difficult experience of my life a few years ago, and it's kind of funny, but like, you know, going through something like that, and then, going through something hard now, I can kind of be like, okay, it's kind of tough now, but at least I'm not going through that thing anymore. And I don't know if that works for everybody, but for me, it injects me with a little bit of gratitude, a little bit of positive feeling. My stomach is rumbling guts. Wants a Gamorrean guard to munch on. Gotta go have a bowl of chicken soup. I made a big pot of chicken soup a little bit ago. I store, old chicken carcasses. Not carcasses, I mean they're butchered and stuff. When I buy, sometimes I buy whole chickens. But usually what I do when I'm buying chicken is I will get those big bags of chicken leg quarters, which are so cost effective. They're so dirt cheap, and I love them for that. And then I just, kind of butcher them up myself. Separate the back from the thigh and the drumstick. And then I use the thighs and the drumsticks for whatever, dinners I'm cooking shortly after. And then I freeze the backs. And then when I have enough backs, I use those to make bone broth. So I did a big batch of that recently, and I've been working through a lot of chicken broth based soup to get through all of it. But it's oh my god, it's so delicious. But yeah, the chicken soup will sate my hunger soon enough. How are we doing here in our search for studs? We're at 900,000 now. 912, 914,000, 916,000, 923,000, 932,640. That was actually starting to sound a little bit like, not to be negative, but there's this style of ASMR that I really, really don't like. Which I don't, I totally respect everybody's preferences. I have no issue with it existing, but occasionally I get recommended, like, stuttering ASMR, where somebody is just, like, frantically trying to say something, but they keep stuttering and repeating themselves. Oh my god, it gives me anxiety, dude. I do not find it relaxing at all. It's funny, the things that certain people find make for good ASMR. There's such a wide variety of preferences out there, there's just some ASMR videos I encounter where I'm like, holy fuck, who is watching this? And, as I said, more power to them for, whatever people like. I have zero issue with, but, sometimes I find an ASMR video, and it makes me, like, I want to pull my hair out watching it. And the stuttering videos give me that feeling. They just make me anxious and uncomfortable. But no problem with that, of course. Sorry, I've said like 5 times now. I've been like, other people's preferences are okay. It's like, yeah, okay. Have I sufficiently laid out a safety net for myself that I'm not demeaning other people's preferences? No, I swear, guys, I'm okay with it existing. I seriously, guys, I don't mean to belittle somebody else's taste. Seriously, just because it's not right for me, it might be right for somebody else. the thermal detonators. This station is fully operational. The attempt on my life has left me scarred and deformed. The establishment of the First Galactic Empire. Should we do an Emperor Palpatine ASMR roleplay? Rise, my apprentice. Darth Vader. I'm not doing the voice credit. I'm going Darth Vader. What's that accent I'm doing with it? Darth Vader. It's not quite right. Not quite Ian McDermott. So we wander around a new town, trying to find some studs, trying to find where these last few studs might be hidden. Trying the little this one actually had studs in it this time, unlike in the last map. Yeah, do a little, Darth Sidious sends you on a mission. You are his new apprentice. ASMR roleplay, something like that. What's your Darth name if you had one? It's always something, Darth Vader, Darth Tyrannus, Darth Maul, Darth Sidious. They're always very evil-coded. Darth Asshole, something like that. Come, my apprentice, prove your loyalty to me. Sorry, my voice for him keeps drifting into some weird accent. I feel like it's some prove your loyalty to me, prove your loyalty to me. Am I doing Russian or something? What is it drifting into? I don't know, but okay, we're only 10k off finishing this map. Only 10k away. Only 10k away. Just running around with Padme now. Padme parentheses Claude. Because of course the monster, it perfectly scrapes her to reveal her midriff. Which, listen, be perfectly honest, watching Natalie Portman in the arena as a young boy, that was quite a revelatory experience for me. We don't have to go any deeper than that, but she's a very beautiful woman. Here I was checking the extras because I was remembering that thing about thinking there was a way to destroy the conch droids, but I hadn't even bought it from the cantina, much less even found the brick. So nothing was gonna happen with that. I just had to go find the last thing, which at this point I was just, and it actually worked out, but I just started wandering around shooting in every direction, hoping that I would stumble across something. donations to me, I found the last of the studs. All studs collected, all studs collected. Alright, well, with that, we have finished our run of the bonus missions. So, thank you so much for joining me. We will finish off Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga soon enough. And move on to other pastures. So, thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, my friends.